venue de la classe d'aujourd'hui. Avant de commencer, voici quelques rappels. Our class for today will start at exactly 3 p.m. and will last for about an hour and a half. When you log in, please ensure that you're using your real first and last name and signing up to Zoom so we could monitor your attendance and address you properly. For those of you logged in, you may edit your display name on the upper right corner of your Zoom control panel right now. When you join the class, please have your microphones muted, and turning on your video will be optional, and you can only unmute if the moderator of the class will ask you to. You're also encouraged to participate in the question and answer portion of the class later by posting your questions on the chat function, and we will try our best to get the speaker catered to them, time permitting. And if you're shy, you can always send in your questions to me privately, and I will have this queued to our moderators. During this session, we also encourage you to give your reactions by using the functions clapping of hands or giving a thumbs up when appropriate. This can be seen on the lower right portion of your Zoom control panel under reactions. And we'd also like to remind our participants not to use annotations on the slides during the duration of our class. So because these annotations, everybody could see them right now. So putting any lines or arrows on the screen is strictly prohibited. We also like to inform you that we have an international audience for today, and we encourage everyone to speak in English whenever possible so that we could all understand each other. And while waiting, we also encourage everyone to interact with your cohorts on the chat function while keeping all conversations friendly and civil. And lastly, please do not share your login access details with anyone who are not enrolled for this session. Our class are set to begin after this couple of videos, so see you all in a bit.
Sage Season 4 Masterclass, I learned a lot, but I'd like to highlight 3 lessons that impacted my well-being. First, you need to have a vision. You need to envision yourself doing what you love, doing what you're really good at in the next 5, 10, 20 years in your life. Second, you need to strategize. You need to have a plan on how to go get that goal. Third, you need to hustle. Every day, work on that goal. Big or small, that is still an essential and beneficial contribution to what you're aiming for. Sage inspired me to navigate my journey using methodological and strategical approaches with the right mindset, with the appropriate attitude, and how to smartly manage and balance my time and energy. And lastly, I am inviting everyone to join Sage Season 5 Masterclass. Join the progressive and growing community of the School of Agility, Grit, and Entrepreneurship. You won't regret joining Sage.
Meet Gino. Gino is young, ambitious, and just recently graduated. But he's not sure where he's going. He's not even ready. Most of us are like Gino. Or maybe you're like Nino. Nino, who works in excellence and always strives to be better, now decided to build his own empire. Perhaps you're like Riza. Riza, who keeps on dreaming on how to make this world a better place, wanting to make a difference, eager to make an impact. Are you like them? If yes, you're watching the right video. We'll equip you with the right tools so you can achieve your dream, whatever it may be. Say hello to Sage, the School of Agility, Grit, and Entrepreneurship, the newest educational platform that will equip thriving individuals like you with agility, grit, and entrepreneurship, the traits needed to succeed in the world today. Agility is the ability that enables you to adapt to accelerated change in a highly disrupted and digitally connected world. Be a first mover, adapt to changes quicker, and overcome obstacles better. The key ingredient that answers the question why some people are successful and others are not. Learn the essentials and be their own driver and predictor of individual success. That is grit. And we have entrepreneurship, the ability to turn ideas into action and unleash creativity and innovation to seize an opportunity, build a business to pursue it, and create values for the society. There's no need to start from zero. As long as you have your why and you're eager to grow and learn, then you're in. We'll cover the rest of the things you need. Industry Leaders Mentorship. You will have access to mentorship from successful people who are currently running businesses that will help you in your learning journey. Real Startup Mindset. You will be equipped with the right mindset from real-life startup gurus who conquered mountains and valleys to make their passion fly. And the right skills to execute. You will be exposed to actual exercises and applications helping you to gain skills that are competitive and will keep on pushing you to always be better. It's not rocket science. It's the potential to skyrocket. With agility, grit, and entrepreneurship, you will surely conquer this ever-changing world and be more than future-ready. Start your free course now. If you're like Gino, Riza, Nino, or someone who just wants to challenge himself and want to grow big time, make the first step now and sign up. Oh, have I told you it's free?
Alright, good afternoon everyone. Maayong hapon kaninyong tanan to our scholars in the Philippines. Assalamualaikum, salamat tagahari to our scholars in Malaysia, Sat Sri Akal, and Daja Shawuhao to our participants from Singapore and Hong Kong. My name is John and I'm your SAGE anchor for this class. And welcome to the 5th season of SAGE, the School of Agility, Grit, and Entrepreneurship. And we are kicking off with our 5th season today. And for our 5th set of scholars and visiting cohorts today, from across the ASEAN region, welcome to our class. And we are beginning our session this week with our visionaries and builders. For today, we are on the agility track and we will be discussing the topic leadership in disruptive times, pitfalls and lessons from an entrepreneurial journey. And our featured leader for this afternoon will be coming in live from Singapore. And to give us more information on this afternoon's topic, we'll have a few words from the co-founder and managing director of SAGE, Mr. Genesis Aligata. Jen?
All right, thank you so much, JR. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Season 5 of Masterclass program of the School of Agility, Grit, and Entrepreneurship. Every time I'm going to welcome the season, I'm having like quite emotional because you guys are really worth it of all the sleepless nights and preparation of the SAGE team. Thank you for choosing to learn with SAGE. SAGE is your newest educational entrepreneurial learning platform. If you're a fresh graduate or an ongoing student, a startup entrepreneur, a founder, or a working professional who wants to be equipped with agility, grit, and entrepreneurship. Today, I will be sharing with you what is the mission and vision of SAGE. JR, could you go to the next slide, please? Why SAGE exists? We believe that with agility, grit, and entrepreneurship, with the right support ecosystem, we're going to increase the ratio of success over failure. That is what SAGE is all about. And we would like to equip individuals like you and me to be more than future ready, but with the right mindset, heart set, and skill set. That is agility, grit, and entrepreneurship. So what would be your journey with SAGE? So JR, at SAGE, we have 4 stages in our students' journey. Spark, adapt, grow, and excel. So it's still SAGE. So at Spark, this is the current stage that you guys are learning with us. So you've been learning throughout the 9 courses, 3 courses for each track, for agility, grit, and entrepreneurship. For this masterclass program, you will be learning from 3 sets of thought leaders. For the first week, you will be learning from visionaries and builders who've been there and done that, building a business and really putting the business at the core of its foundation. At the second set of classes, which would be next week, you will be learning from enablers and advocates who supported the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and make businesses into reality. And on the last step, on the third week of your learning, you will be learning from dreamers and founders who really struggled and make their dreams into reality. So that would be your journey with Sage Masterclass program. And if you want to move, you could join our Adapt stage where you really put it into actual practice and make a business model canvas and grow, where you're going to have access to our international, a group of mentors, coaches, and advisors. And lastly, of course, if you really want to put it into business and really want to conquer the world, we are going to support you. And that would be our accelerator program. So that is the Sage students' journey. I hope you're getting excited and you guys are actually a true Sager for taking the first step in joining our class today. And now I'm going to give you like a brief overview of what our topic would look like today. In a digitized environment characterized by rapid and continual disruption, it is critical for individuals and organizations to be agile and quickly respond to change. As a result, leaders are required who are not only effective interpersonally, but who can also manage increasingly complex changes and even in the organization stage. Effective leaders today must be able to make decisions faster and lead change efficiently, while skillfully influencing in a more interconnected, collaborative landscape. Additionally, leaders need to foster a digital-ready organization culture and embraces rather than resist continuous change. Today, we will all be learning from the CEO of Disruptive Leadership Institute and a seasoned educator, Professor Sattar Bawani. Professor, thank you for accepting our invitation and for supporting Sage. Sagers, grab your notebooks and let us all learn from Professor Bawani. May enjoy your class today, Sagers.
Thank you very much, Genesis. And for this afternoon, indeed, we want to answer the following questions. How does a leader adapt to adversity? And how do we display our leadership skills during uncertain times? And how do we adapt to changes? And with that, I'd like to introduce our moderator for this afternoon. Our moderator is the Chief Executive Officer of Global Learning Solutions in Singapore. He's also the Chief Executive Officer and President of Smarter Robotics Philippines. He's one of Asia's leading corporate development coaches and is a best-selling author and a member of the Business School for the World Business Angel Investments Forum in Istanbul, Turkey. Ladies and gentlemen, your moderator for this afternoon, Mr. Roger Colliantes. Roger.
Thank you, JR. Just checking my audio, video.
Audio, video are all clear.
All right, thank you. All right, welcome. Good afternoon, Sagers. This is the 5th season, and I'm very excited because as we move from season to season, we're going from strength to strength, and many more scholars are signing in, and you are very lucky today because we're starting our first 6th season with someone who's very familiar with disruptive innovation and leadership. And what better way to open the session with none other than my guest today, Professor Sattar Bawani, who is a good friend of mine. He's from Singapore, and he is CEO of Center for Executive Education, CEO of Disruptive Leadership Institute, both based in Singapore, and recently the Professor of Practice of Disruptive Leadership for the Executive MBA in Digital Transformation at the IPE Managed School based in Paris. Until recently, he was adjunct professor with Curtin Graduate School of Business in Australia and a member of its International Advisory Board. Professor Bawani was awarded the Best Executive of the Year in Human Resources Consulting at the annual Singapore Business Review Management Excellence Awards in 2019. Let's summarize his long history and his long achievement, feats and achievements. Professor Bawani has over 30 years of international business management and entrepreneurial experience, including 20, okay, including 20 years in executive coaching, group facilitation, and leadership development. He started his professional career in entrepreneurial venture, and he can share a lot of this, in the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry for over 10 years in various jobs in sales, marketing, and operation. He transitioned into a professional service and management consultant for over 20 years, having assumed various management roles before. So Professor Bawani, among others, is an accomplished author. He has two very pioneering books. The first one is Transforming Next Gen Leaders, which provides organization with systematic leadership development strategies to develop what's called as high potential leaders in this digital age of the fourth industrial revolution. His latest book, following the first success of the first one, is on leadership in disruptive times, this time focusing on organizational challenges following the aftermath of the global COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Sattar holds an executive MBA from Golden Gate University, San Francisco, California, and a Bachelor in Business Administration in Marketing from Curtin University in Perth, Western Australia. I cannot stop him now, so ladies and gentlemen, our friend, our professor, a walking leader by himself, he walks the talk. Please welcome Season 6, Professor Sattar Bawani. Let's give him a digital applause, ladies and gentlemen. Professor, turn. It's yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roger. Thank you, Sage, for inviting me to be here today to kick off the season 5 of this excellent, in my view, one of the best school for entrepreneurship. Sage has been, I've known Roger for many, many years, and I'm very proud of what he has done to develop future entrepreneurs, students who aspire to be future entrepreneurs. So when he broached the subject of inviting me to be a guest speaker, and I always love to talk to young leaders, emerging leaders, and as I'm delighted to share my failure. I share my failure. The success you can find. Success you can read a lot from a lot of books. But if you Google, you probably find very few books that will talk about failure of a leader or entrepreneur, where the entrepreneur himself is shared openly. And I'm going to do that over the last 30 years of entrepreneurial journey. And, the topic of disruptive leadership is so contemporary. No one could imagine the disruptive impact of COVID-19 has had on life, on businesses, on society, on our day-to-day religious practices of family, and so forth. So, government, businesses, institutions worldwide are still struggling to find way out of this pandemic. And this is much more worse than the Spanish flu pandemic in the 20s. It's by far much more worse than SARS, the H1N1 pandemic, and so forth. So I will talk a little bit about that. In the book, I elaborate a lot about, as a matter of fact, the book started looking at the disruptive impact of digital transformation for the last 5 years. And the publisher contacted me in January, on 23rd January, when the lockdown of Wuhan due to the pandemic. The publisher, editors, and the owners of the Disruptive, Mr. Lee, who suggested that, look, perhaps I should look at to include the disruptive impact of COVID-19. That was in January, mind you, and we do not know much at that time. So I started doing research, and since then, of course, in February, March, I started doing a lot of research with, getting in touch with WHO, with CDC, uh, in Singapore, NICD, and many other institutions trying to get as much information and from our contacts in China, in the US, in Europe. And at the end of 30th of June, the book was published, was sent to the publisher, and on 30th of July, it was published internationally. And I will show you a bit about some of from an entrepreneurial perspective, what we can learn from this current episode. Why a lot of companies, a lot of SMEs, small business entrepreneurs, would not make it. A lot of them, what we call zombie companies, a lot of them will not survive. As high as 70 to 80% in some countries, estimation of a lot of small businesses, entrepreneurial venture will fail. And why? And I will talk about that, and we can have a discussion. So please, now let me just share the slide. Okay, so we have time to have dialogue. We'll talk about it in an hour. And please keep your questions. There will be a poll in between during the presentation. I'll be asking you a question and to get you to share. So please participate in the activity. The title of my presentation is on leadership disruptive time, and also looking at from entrepreneur's perspective, what are things that you should be looking for, some of the disruptive impact. Whether it could be the COVID-19, which may end hopefully by next year. Then you have the disruptive impact of the digital transformation going to continue. And of course, the next one is the climate crisis, and we may have another pandemic. We do not know, and it's possible. And Bill Gates is warned us, WHO is warned us, and there will be possibly another pandemic. So what lesson can we learn? What can we do as business leaders, entrepreneurs? What can we take away from this current disruptive world that we are in today?
Professor, sorry. This is John. Can you move the microphone closer?
Okay, sorry. Is it better now?
Better, sir. Thank you, Professor.
Sorry. No problem. So I want to go into this. I think Roger has introduced me, and these are the two books on the left. Leadership Disruptive Time and Transforming Next Generation. So Amazon, and you can Google it. So let me start with very important as entrepreneur, as business leader. Over the years, and I've talked to my students, my postgrad students, talk to business entrepreneurs, many people do not really understand what is disruption and disruptive innovation. As a matter of fact, Clayton Christensen, Harvard Business School professor, who wrote a book on innovative dilemma, and he just passed on, recently, not really, it was early this year, he passed on. But he wrote an article in Harvard Business School several years back to share his frustration, his view that a lot of people, even business leaders, even academics, do not really understand. I will talk about that. So we are very clear. What exactly is disruptive innovation? There's a lot of innovative business, but not all businesses are. A lot of businesses are to be viewed as innovative, but not all businesses are disruptive. So that's very important. And we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to start off looking at in today's context. So we talk about disruption. So I'd like all of you to participate and put in the chat box. What's your view? One word that would describe or that you will associate with disruption. And because I'm on a full screen view, Roger or John, JR, can you read out the response on the chat box? So please,
yes, Professor.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Chaos. The voice is not very clear. So, okay, sorry. That's a feedback. There you go.
Yeah.
So, chaos anymore? We encourage you, please participate. I'm really waiting for you. Okay, I like this, Nicole. Thank you so much. Disturbance, Professor. troublesome. It means new. It's I like this word, asunder. But it means creativity, reframing. It means interruption or interference. It means to pivot or to change. It requires problems that may arise and bring disorder and mayhem. It's distortion. It's problematic. It's creating undisciplined situation. And disarrangement. There's a barrier. There's trouble, hindrance or trouble. That means time to change the traditional way. So it means confusion, disturbance or problems, hindrances, mostly negative. And then someone said discord, disarrangement. You know, someone said, what? Stop. No way. All right, so retardation, this is word. Barrier, inconvenience, so turmoil, I think that's a heavy word. Turmoil, yeah. All right.
Thank you, Roger. I think excellent. I think Karanjit talked about reframing, and I like Karanjit, simply says new, and I think Skylar talked about discord. I think some of it is very interesting, and I like Fides talk about hindrance. So a lot of words. For the first time, I'm seeing some of the words, but I think some of the common thing that we hear: barrier, chaos, disorder. These are the words that we hear always, and it's very. If you look at the COVID-19, it's really is a disruptive force. Many of us never anticipate, and one of the things that I realized that when I hear all over the world, political leaders, business leaders, they use the word unprecedented. And this is what I want to talk about, because the more I go into this, listening to political leaders worldwide, talking to business leaders, and a lot of them talk about the word unprecedented, and this is simply an excuse because they do not know what they do not know. They all have blind spots, and this is the biggest problem. There's no playbook that we can rely on to manage the disruption that's caused by the pandemic. Many people try to relate, at least in Hong Kong, Singapore, in this part in China, looking at SARS. And many got it wrong. Many thought it would not be as contagious or as fatal as SARS, but you have seen the impacts. And every single week, the new findings, research findings worldwide. So the disruption that is caused by COVID-19 is real when we are experiencing it. So to put in context from a business perspective, if you look at the definition, so if you look at the definition from Cambridge Dictionary, it's very simple. Disruption is the action of completely, see the word, completely changing the traditional way of doing business, whether in industry or in market, which operate using new methods of technology. So this is from a business disruptive technology standpoint. And even before COVID, and we have seen, and actually COVID-19 has accelerated the disruption caused by the digital technology or the digital revolution. And he has made us more aware. And actually, he is an enabler. As we today, we look like we are using, as we are speaking right now, we are using the Zoom, the various technological platform to communicate with our colleagues, work from home. Or I prefer the word work from, in my book, I talk about work from anywhere, based on Harvard Business School research, that even before the pandemic, work from home is not as, it's not as beneficial as compared to work from anywhere, which has both a temporal and a geographic flexibility in time and in place. And the disruption that we are facing today, we have not yet fully experienced the impact of COVID-19 and also the disruption of the digital revolution on the future of work. In my next book, the next edition I'm looking at, is to look at the impact of the technological revolution on the disruption to the the future of work or the future workplace, from jobs to business processes to how we redefine roles in organization. Now, in my book, I talk about one of the things about disruption. We look at what's happening in COVID-19. And of course, before then, as Roger mentioned, my earlier book last year, we're looking at the digital transformation, the disruption for the digital transformation. And what is interesting is that we are trying to understand what are the impact of the disruption, the digital transformation on leadership development. That's when I went into the high potential, looking at what are some of the best practices organization, and even entrepreneurs can learn in terms of putting in place the right culture when you're leading a young entrepreneurial team. What are some of the disruptive leadership competencies that you need to demonstrate? It's very important because we cannot use the set of values, the competency that has been around for many years in the disruptive environment, what we call the need to demonstrate, leaders, entrepreneurs and leaders need to demonstrate the disruptive mental agility. And I'll talk about that and what are the suite of competency and skills. Let's go back to Christensen's definition in his book, Evil's Dilemma. And he talked about, very interesting, he said that everybody needs to understand what is disruptive innovation. As an entrepreneur, you need to understand that in today's context. But unfortunately, a lot of people use the word very loosely. And as I said, in his book, in 1997, and in the Harvard Business Review article in 2015, and he revisited and he talked about that. And that many people misunderstand. And I'll talk about the example of Netflix and Uber. And start thinking now which is disruptive and which is not. And I'll talk about that. And the definition that we use is that when we talk about disruptive innovation, you look at a new player, new entrant, which initially offer a very simple service or simple application of a service, which they move up into an untested and unmarket segment, a blue ocean, which would then disrupt the competitors or the incumbent. And this is very important because a lot of things that you're seeing, for example, I talk about example of Netflix and Uber, and why one of them is indeed it has a disruptive innovation service, while the others is not. And we'll talk about that in a short while more. And if you look at a lot of companies have failed, Kodak. I can name you, look at Fortune 500, a lot of companies have failed, no longer exist. Look at Nokia. It's very sad. Look at Nokia, what's happening. And many of these organizations fail to reinvent themselves because they are facing challenge by these new players, new ventures, entrepreneurial ventures, new startups, which tremendously change the way things being done. And because most of these big organizations, large established organizations, are not nimble enough, not agile to move and to reinvent themselves quickly. And it's about time to market. And this is the biggest challenge because when you have an organization that is so entrenched in the way they work, how do you change and move? You need to be nimble. And this is the challenge that we face in a lot of organizations today. They are not able to reinvent. And look at taxi company, how Grab is able to reinvent in that space, not only from transportation into food, into all the various industry segments. And again, now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to ask you now, if you look at the earlier definition by Christensen of what is called disruptive innovation, which is indeed disruptive, Netflix or Uber? So put it in your chat box. Which do you think? One of them is not disruptive, definitely, from a disruptive innovation standpoint. Okay, so let me hear your response. Come on.
Okay, everyone, please. Time to vote. Okay, okay, I'll just go. Uber, 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 Uber. I hope you're all right. Uber, Uber,
Wow.
Uber. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, Netflix came into the picture. Netflix, Netflix, four Netflix, five Netflix. Is this like election? Okay, then Uber, both.
Trump
Yeah. Okay.
made
I would say two, one out of two. So one out of three is Netflix, and two out of three is Uber. So
That is quite common, actually. Thanks, Roger. Maybe I should ask the question: Trump versus Biden. Who will be the next president? Then you can see the response. No, but seriously, this is the kind of answers I got. Many my grad students, in workshop when I organize this program on leadership disruptive times, the answers I get exactly what you guys wrote. And most of them things over, and of course the other 30% things go. Of course, the question itself tells you that one of them is disruptive, the other is not.
yeah,
Now, the answer of course is Netflix is disruptive and Uber is not. And when I mentioned this, I was at another event when I did this similar. There was a senior executive, female executive, and they were surprised when I mentioned the answer. And the answer why and why the Netflix, the primary reason why Netflix is so disruptive. In my book, I explain also that because when you look at Netflix, the main competitor when Netflix came in, is Blockbuster in the US. And Netflix came in, it did not go after the core competitors of. It's very interesting. Netflix actually offered itself to Blockbuster for 50 million in early stage, and it was a big mistake. Blockbuster did not pick it up, and Blockbuster is gone today; it doesn't exist anymore. But the shift, when you talk about the disruptive innovation, what happened is for Blockbuster is a video rental. You know the typical video rental in Malaysia, or in Philippines, I don't know, we have this or speedy video and all this. People video, we go to video and you can and then you rent a video, you pay the penalty, and Blockbuster has this policy of paying penalty each time you delay. And Netflix said, look, no, we want to do things differently. And they offer this a wider selection of content, all you can watch, on demand, low price, high quality, high convenient approach. And they go after, and what they did was they go for segment. At that time, initially, when Netflix came, it's very small, very few organizations, very few customers were keen to subscribe because they used to, rent the video, go to the shop, and then, the video rental store, pick up a 4 or 5 video over the weekend, and then return the next thing. Netflix was very clear. They look at what the customer, there was a small customer segment at that time, and of course the internet has not really picked up. And what happened then, of course, Netflix used the AI the algorithm, to study. They have the very powerful AI. Software which allows them to study each user preferences, and so that's why when those of you who are familiar with Netflix, and when you're on your Netflix, they will tell you, okay, if you've watched this movie, perhaps you want to watch another similar movie because you have seen that movie, or because you like that particular actor, you would like to show so they study a pattern and they look at and what are sort of genre, the kind of movie, the kind of whatever drop, and they offer that to you. When you on your system, when you on your Netflix account on the TV, and you can see your preferences. And Netflix use AI, of course, now machine learning. I mean, they use technology to disrupt the competitor, disrupt. And of course, today Netflix themselves been disrupted. If you look at Amazon Prime, it's got NBC and Apple TV and many other new players coming try to disrupt Netflix. And I think they've yet the jury's still out. Netflix is the market leader, but again, we do not know what And Netflix is trying very, very hard to find new ways to reinvent. And one of the things that they do very well, they disrupt again, by developing new content, their content. You often see the word called Netflix original. Come on. I mean, they invest, they develop, they produce their own content instead of relying on the studios, the movie studios, like produced by Fox and so forth. So that is what we're doing. Now look at Uber. Now Uber, what is innovative? What Uber did is they look at using the technology to help the taxi riders, to the customers, to make it easy. So everybody owns a smartphone, so Android. You have a phone, they develop an app. It's easy for you, the Uber app, anywhere, the same account, anywhere in the world. When I travel anywhere in the world, I use the same app. And I used to use that. In some country, may not be available, like of regulations and so forth. But it is not only disruptive in the sense that if you look at Uber, they did not go to what we call the blue ocean, the new market, or overlooked markets. But what they did is simply going after the taxi customers, offering a convenient. So it is an innovation, technology with an app, make it convenient, but it is not. It is innovative, that's for sure, but it's not very disruptive. Yeah, that's the difference between Netflix and Uber. And if you read in my book, I explain the concept, but of course, as I mentioned to you in 2015, in Harvard Business Review, what Casey Christensen talk about is that a lot of people don't understand, and this is as most of you are students, entrepreneur, doing your entrepreneurial studies, get it right. Get it right and learn. There's a link there. You can go in, to HBR and download free readout. It's very important to understand. Okay. So now, there is McKinsey published a very interesting article in 2013 and talk about the disruptive technology and the impact and what we can expect to see in the economic value of disruptive technology. Okay, and I won't go into. I think some of them. This was 2013. Today is 7 years later. Some is all real. Mobile internet, automation, IoT, iOS, cloud, advanced robotics, and there's another concept which is not there. And today is a reality called cobot. 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 Stands for collaborative robotics. And you can see that in Japan, in the US, where you have robots side by side with human beings. In my book, again, I elaborate the importance of this technology because a lot of people are afraid they'll be replaced by robots. There's certain things that robot cannot do that we can do as human beings, especially from a customer interfacing perspective. So we need to work with the robot. And for the mundane, the repetitive tasks, that automated processes can be taken care by a robot, but we need to work with it. So it's called cobot. Okay? Then you have autonomous vehicle. Both you see Google, Tesla has already started. Even Mercedes-Benz in Japan, we have Toyota. All have developed the autonomous vehicle. Google was one of the pioneers in Tesla, and it's very interesting because they're using machine learning, of course, to be able and neural networks to learn about things around you and we have done in Singapore. We have now under trial in the university, National University of Singapore, National Technological University, where they do trial on this autonomous genomics. Even for cancer treatment, IBM used to how to define it. As a matter of fact, currently the pandemic. The research into pandemic, this technologies, the disruptive technology of the advanced AI has helped. The rest, 3D printing and so forth. So you can see that this is now becoming very common. Now the challenge. So what is your challenge? So one of the things that I found, entrepreneur. We need to shift our mindset and also be a business leader, both entrepreneur and business leader. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be a business leader. And you need to learn why Steve Jobs failed in the initial years. he was so focused on developing Lisa that he forgot about, when Apple was listed. And of course, as you know, the famous story, how John Scully, and he called John Scully, Steve Jobs called John Scully, the sugar, the sugar water guy, because John Scully was from Apple, was from Pepsi. But very interesting, if you do not have that ability to develop this self-awareness that you may not be the best person to lead organization, keep your venture. You need to find someone else. And sometimes, and I'll talk about some of the failure as a leader, and even my own mistakes over the years, and I'll talk about that. This is a problem that we have. We think we know, and we think we know better than others, our staff. And I'll talk about a concept called reverse mentoring of the younger your entrepreneurial team that you can learn from them. And one of the problems is, we stick to the same business model. So every single day, my advice is you need to reinvent your business model, and every single day. This is what Jeff Bezos does. This is what my idol right now. I used to be Jack Welch. She's passed on. Today, the leader that I have deepest admiration is the Satya Nadella. The third CEO of Microsoft. In my book, I have a case study on him and how he is able to transform the Microsoft by focusing on one particular competency, which is empathy. And he shared, and as entrepreneur, we need to have that. And I'll explain why later in a short while, because we need to be able to develop this customer centricity, the mindset that customer, PPT, and your internal customers first. That is your people. Take care of your people, take care of your entrepreneurial team. Very important. And this is where I think we can learn a lot from both Starbucks, so again another case in my book, Howard Schultz and this Microsoft Satya Nadella. These two leaders, and we can learn a lot about how and Howard Schultz is a true entrepreneur. And I don't have time. I can tell you stories about Howard Schultz. I did a study, part of my work about talking about leaders. You call disruptive leaders. You look at one of the very few leaders, like Howard Schultz, and again, why? Because of his experience, family tragedy, his father, and so forth. And we can learn from such leaders. Now, but how do you do that? How do you resolve the entrepreneurial challenge? As a founder, you need to be prepared. You would be the person that your team, you'll be the person that your co-founder, you'll be the person that your investors will look at. So how are you going to start redevelop yourself? And this is where my advice to all of you: start thinking, start reassessing your state of mind and local mindset. So now I'm going to ask you a question. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Again, the poll: name me one skill or competency, skill, behaviors, attribute, if you want to put attribute, that you think is very critical towards developing the entrepreneurial capability, or developing yourself as an entrepreneur when you face all the disruptive forces. What do you need to do? What do you need to develop? What sort of skills do you need to develop? So my advice is to all of you to think this is very important. And you can have a dialogue later during the Q&A at 4 o'clock. So you can in the next 10, 15 minutes, you can do a dialogue. So you can ask me more questions. But right now, go to the poll.
Yeah.
Let's answer the chat box. Go to the chat box. Write the skill, one skill, competency, attribute that would really differentiate a very successful entrepreneur in today's disruptive world.
So here they are: resilience, empathy, managing risk, flexibility, adaptability, risk taking twice, courage, determination, agility, conservatism, very interesting, Professor.
Yeah, positive.
Okay, forceful, agile, perseverance, opportunity seeking, resilient, mindful,
Different.
critical thinking, risk taking, and a lot of opportunity seeking and risk taking are two sides coming up. Ah, I like this happiness, Professor. Faith,
Oh, yes.
heart. Wow, soft skill, really spiritual skill, in fact, right? Courage,
Yeah.
courage, risk taker twice, VUCA leadership. They read your book. Patience, problem solving, determination. Oh, I like self-aware. Be critical,
Oh,
open for innovation, eagerness. Wow, optimism and eagerness, they're cousins. Innovativeness and open-mindedness, also cousin. Delegation, new one. Enthusiasm,
okay.
being observant is important according to some. Innovative is, of course, the most important word coming up. And city, nice word. Initiative.
Okay, good. Okay, I think most of you got it right. Happiness is important, and I'll share with you one of the early part of my career. As a business professional, before I go into entrepreneurship, and then when I even go into entrepreneurship, and one of my advisors always tell me the difference. Learn from the bike. Look at bicycle, the different spokes of life. And unique happiness, it depends how well you balance all the spokes of life from financial, family, spiritual, business. So there are different parts of the spoke of spokes of life that you need to balance. I think all of you, most of you got it right, but I think what I like, there's what somebody mentioned, critical thinking. That's very important. And of course, VUCA leadership. VUCA itself is the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. In my book, chapter 2, I talk about the disruptive impact, the VUCA impact of COVID-19. And COVID-19 is indeed, look at the description of volatility, complexity, uncertainty, ambiguity. COVID-19 pandemic clearly demonstrate the disruptive impact of the VUCA. Now, there are many companies, as I said, I asked you for one, but I have done extensive research, worldwide, looking at leaders, and also with the coaching, going to my global coaches, worldwide, under the Executive Development Associate EDA, and under the IPMA and CE worldwide. So over the last 20 years, we studied what are some of the entrepreneurial and also business leader. So both. So we look at what makes them different, what has been very successful, and then we look at the last I would say, since 2014. So for 6 years, 2014, when WEF published, and I will share. I don't think I have it in this presentation, but you can go to WEF and look at the disruptive, impact of the digital, or they use the word fourth industrial revolution. Okay, the founder of WEF, Klaus Schwab, the founder and the chairman of WEF, wrote a book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and the Industry 4.0, which started as in Germany from the industry, automation, Siemens, Bosch, Daimler, and many of the German technology. And what we have found that those leaders in the digital transformation of their businesses, because of the impact, the disruptive impact, they're able to do it differently, successfully. And WEF did a survey, and it was published, I think, in 2008, 2006, 2008, 2 years, over two reports, looking at some of the competencies. And of course, then recently, over the last 5 years, Korn Ferry, and we look at Deloitte. I've studied a lot. In my book, there's references about 400 different. The main research is about 200 over, but total of 400 research papers my team has, Disruptive Leadership Institute, has studied. I myself have looked at all this and came out with 6 competencies. We call it the disruptive digital leader. And these competencies are also relevant more relevant for entrepreneurial leaders because you are talking about, especially if you are talking about disruptive innovation, leveraging on technology today, these are the set competencies. Let me just walk through, and you can have the dialogue later during Q&A. First is disruptive mentality. What I mean by that is to be able to shift your mental model, to be able to be innovative driven. Okay, that's very important for disruptive mental agility. Second one is what all of you know, what we call the visionary entrepreneurial skills, which is creativity. And the creativity is different from critical thinking. So creative thinking and critical thinking are very different. Again, I don't have time to go through, but in the book I explain very clearly the difference. Like creativity is easier. I repeat, creativity is easier as a skill to develop as compared to critical thinking because it's a total set, different set of behavior attribute that you need to need to demonstrate. And we call it cognitive readiness. So it's where you have what I call mindfulness, focus, how to connect the dots. You know, when you have different set of data, different set of like what's happening today. If you look at COVID-19, it's impacting us. And how do you read all those news report every day? And of course, number four that most of you mentioned in the chat box: resilience, change, adaptability, and I think agility. Again, it's very common. You see number 3, 4, 5, 6, all are related to agility. And it's very important. And number 5, empathy and social skills is important because we're talking about in today disruptive leadership. We talk about customer centricity. If you need to develop a digital transformation strategy, you need to be able to work with your client, work even before that, before the customer. I always advocate work internally, develop your team, make sure your team, you need to start with the, what we call the PPT, people before process and technology. And many people start focusing on the technology, and this is the biggest mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business leaders do. First thing to get the best technology and money can buy you all whatever resources you have, whatever funding that you have, invest in technology. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Focus on the people, the talent, the capability first. Then look at the process to deliver what the customers want, customer centricity, and then using social skills, social intelligence, emotional social intelligence to be able to impact and influence your team, your partners, your network, and your customers. At the end of the day, it's about customers. So get your people staff right. What could be people first before your process and technology? And lastly, driving for success. As an entrepreneur, at the end of the day, what you're investing for, what you're looking for is results. So results agility. So how fast are we able to reinvent moves when things are not going your way? That is important because when we are stuck to our thinking, or this is the way we believe, it's very important to have values and belief, and I will talk about that in a short. But be prepared to choose. The results are not coming in, what you need to do, and that is the result of agility. How do we choose? How do we reinvent? Where else can we? So those are the competencies. So if you look at, I will now move to the last part of my presentation about the pitfalls and lessons. I can talk about failure. I will not talk about success because success, I can tell you a lot of stories. Everywhere in the world when I do keynote and I present anywhere in the world over the last 20 years, one of the things that people say, oh, on success. When I talk about failure, wow, people start listening because it's very important to know. And I'm going to share my failure. Hopefully that you can benefit from it and you can do not make the same mistake. I wish I had someone like me in my earlier days, 30 years ago, who can help me in my first venture in 1988. And when I started this applied healthcare system, a startup, after 10 years in healthcare, working for Carl Zeiss, Germany, working for Dentechnica, Jackson and Jason, Pfizer, pharmaceutical, medical devices. So I decided to set up a first company called Applied Healthcare System to supply medical instruments to a new hospital in Malaysia. And it's in Cheras. Most of you Malaysian will know Cheras. The hospital name was Nurian. It was a new hospital owned by the authority. But the biggest mistake I did was And I'll tell you the failure. My failure here is very simple. Malaysia is for political activity for licensing because I was given the award to a tender to supply equipment. One of the biggest problems, and I did not realize at that time, some of the equipment required licensing approval. Because I was assured that hospital, when you have no problem, we will take care. It's, and the founders of the hospital, the board are politicians. In Malaysia, you very qualified politicians, on those, government, link. So I take the word from the founder. Okay, the CEO said no problem. You will take care of it. So they come to, a lot of internal issues, change of share owners, and I invested. At that time was about $1,000 to the business. I was blessed. Their parents my parents who loaned me the money, banks and students guarantor. But eventually, the business failed because the license to bring in import licensing, to bring X-ray machine, to bring urology scanners, and all those things that you require licensing, did not got approved. And again, and very sad because, and I did not give, I got the contract, I was assured and get the business, but I forgot about the macro environment. See, when talking about entrepreneurial venture, we talk about the pestle, the political, social, economic, technology, environment, legal, the macro environment. So please be mindful. Be mindful who are your partners, what are the prevailing regulations. Yeah, so we need to learn. So I did not do that. That's one. And it failed and cost me terribly. So I decided it was huge, and I, then, had to work for a few years and start thinking about the next venture. So while I was pursuing an MBA, executive MBA at Golden Gate University, Professor Dan Kana, one of my professors for strategy, invited me with four of my fellow students from HP, from Apple, and Oracle, and Sun Microsystems. So there are four technologies from the Bay Area, and I was the only one from Singapore. So we developed a business or a business model, which what we call CBT, computer-based trading. It was ahead of its time. As you know, the internet only started the war of internet, or the browser they call it, between Netscape and Internet Explorer, Microsoft and Netscape. You only started in 1985, and with the Internet Explorer, Microsoft Windows 95. But internet did not take it up, did not took off until much later. But at that time, we were offering this computer-based training using CD-ROM. But it was only way for client-server computing, with what we call the network systems, with HP at the time, DEC, distribution company, but we were ahead of this time. He failed. The company still exists because the founder, Professor Dan Kana, is from the US. He was from the Bay Area, and we were often with San Jose, and we moved to Palo Alto, and then of course he moved to Texas. We brought the company with him. But if you go and Google or you go to ecranium.com, you still can find. Very interesting. You can go in there and look at it was very ahead of this time. And of course, we tried to adapt when the internet came in. But again, we're not able, the biggest mistake, again, is when you set up, we were very ambitious. We wanted to do something, very innovative, but the market is not ready for it. So lesson number one, another lesson, besides the first lesson about being aware of the macro forces, the political dimension in countries that we work, the political legal ramification. This instance is about the customers, about not spending time to understand whether the corporate customers, and we were targeting in the Bay Area, but in the US, but again, we were ahead of this time. and we're not able to secure funding, and it was very challenging, very interesting. I was in the Bay Area and learning from people, fellow students who were from all the big names in startup, and being in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley was fantastic. I enjoyed in Milpitas. I stayed in Milpitas in San Jose, in San Francisco, network and meet people. I attended session where Steve Jobs, not interactive, but attended events when he was speaking. And there's one guy, all of you should Google and look for a guy that I learned a lot. His name is Guy Kawasaki. He was the chief evangelist at Apple. And Guy Kawasaki has a company called Garage.com, which provide a bootcamp for entrepreneurs. And some of you probably heard of him. Go and Google, he's still around. And lastly, so it was traumatic. I did my MBA, and then I came back. Then in between, I joined Hey Group. Decided to go back to corporate. I said, okay, let's before my executive MBA from Golden Gate. I managed to learn a role with Hay Group, and then with Ford Corporation in Boston and the executive coaching, then with Mercer, then last corporate role with DBM. It's all the global consulting firm, which allow me to give them the network, the knowledge, experience. And then I decided since 2001, I started to set up a small startup. Actually, at that time, my company name was called Bawani Associates. It was a small startup trying to go into, e-learning. That by that time, that internet revolution. But the problem is, again, do not have, and it was about timing. So you remember 2000 was the dot-com crash. It was timing. It's nothing to do with skill, but it's just timing. Unfortunately, the dot-com crash, the bubble, and I'm not even secure funding. So my partner's in the US, so we and then in 2001, as you probably know, I should probably know, it was the September 11 again the market. Then 2003 SARS. So within 5 years, there were 3 major events. That is very disruptive. Then, of course, in 2006, I was associated with the last corporate role with a company called DBM out of New York, and then we moved into I remember exactly where in Boston, and then they decided, okay, they'll sold the company, and I set up my own called Center for Executive Education. That was my fourth venture, and this still around. I'm the CEO and founder, and we're an award-winning network of worldwide HR consulting, OD consulting companies. And then subsequently, I set up another venture on Center for Executive Coaching, which I'm a master coach with IPMA, International Professional Manager Association, to certify our program. And we have done a 2 programs. One of them is in Malaysia, Johor Corporation in Johor, a state-owned company. And now, in July this year, I set up the Disruptive Institute with the backing of iGroup Asia Pacific, the chairman, Mr. Kunli, who believed in the idea of disruptive, was very supportive in my venture, invested, and we developed the institute to provide an opportunity for companies who want to prepare the leaders for entrepreneurial. Sorry, prepare leaders for the digital revolution. And what we do is we have programs that has been based on research-based content with faculty all over the world who come in and deliver a program for our client worldwide. Okay, so to sum up, what are the pitfalls? Again, we get dialogue. One is based on what I've told you, the stories about self-awareness. Again, we sometimes we think we know. We all have blind spot, so be mindful of that. Humility, be humble. You seek help, and this is where I learned a lot from my younger colleagues, actually today even Gen Y and Gen Z. What called reverse mentoring. I learned a lot from my younger colleague who someone guide me from the technological standpoint, and also be we need to be less overconfident. Or to be confident is important, self-confidence, but don't be overconfident. less arrogant. Sometimes I myself, even myself and my parents, we think we know, but we were in the Bay Area, so sometimes we think, oh, we know what we need to be done, and we think, well, nobody can tell us, we know best. So be less ruthless. I think we should always keep an open mind. And that's the next one, which somebody mentioned earlier in the chat box about optimism. Yeah, it's very important to have a sense of outlook. But sometimes we're so positive, we think we know as an entrepreneur, we think, oh, we believe in what we believe, but we're not grounded to reality. So that is the very biggest problem that I face when I try to launch the e-learning, we call it CBT, computer-based training at that time. The reality is that the market is not ready. Internet just start picking up, and we are not able to get the customers acceptance. So that's very important. Then the other thing about my advice about inside out perspective. So what I my mistake was when I was looking at both the e-training and when I was looking at the AHS, Applied Healthcare System, I always look from internal what we think. So we have the board or the entrepreneur, the founder, in the founding team, we know the market, oh, we have done this with that. So we always look at inside perspective instead of go out and then look from customers, get from advice, get people to help us. And this is the problem. That's why the next point is very important. And I was very fortunate. I have a mentor, and both a mentor. I did not have a coach at that time. I have a mentor. There's a lot different than mentoring and coaching. So I don't go into that. But very quickly, mentoring is someone more senior, more experienced, wiser, who can guide you, inspire you, who can tell you, look, what they have gone through, the lessons, both in corporate or in entrepreneurship, what they can guide you and help you. Whereas an executive coach is more about developing leadership skills, providing insights to how to be a better leader. So a very different set of intervention. So I think it's very important. While I have a mentor, I do not have a coach, and any course. And at that time, and I was very unfortunate. So I make a lot of mistakes. I was very aggressive. I would say that. I need to be more assertive, but not aggressive. But I was on the other side, more aggressive, and that created a lot of problems with my partners, with the customer relationship. And that brings to the second last part about importance of collaboration relationship. And as I mentioned earlier, I already mentioned most of this in my earlier talk about putting people, talent before process and technology. So you need to put your people first, your team ahead. That's important. And lastly, my final word before we open for Q&A. In 2016, the Peak magazine is a very prestigious magazine in Singapore, Malaysia. They have a different edition. The editor invited me to share my experience. Because I was coaching a lot of entrepreneurs in my work over the last as executive coach over the last 25 years. I've coached many CEOs or C-suite leaders, CEOs, and also entrepreneurs. Many entrepreneurs in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, even a couple of them from China, even one from Russia, US. What I've learned from this entrepreneur, it's very important when we talk about purpose and values. It's very important. So you need to have a sense of purpose. And this is where I learned a lot from Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. He has what called the true north. He has very clear what is his purpose because of his experience of the tragedy of his father, and he is able to mobilize, get people to believe in what we believe. And that's very important. And there's a very good video most of you should watch called by, I'm sure some of you heard of it, Simon Sinek. Start with why. And we as entrepreneurs, we need to believe in what we believe and get people to believe in us. And to do that, we need to really understand why we exist. And of course, the last one is about exemplary leadership. In the interview, I was talking about in the thriving in chaos in VUCA world. One of the biggest challenges that we have is that about not able to change. Well, your own purpose and values is important, but at the same time, you need to reassess and ask yourself, are you agile enough to reinvent and to move and maneuver in the VUCA world? That was 2016. Today, we talk about the disruptive world, and it's the same. VUCA is disruptive. So the question is, are you ready to reinvent and ask yourself, what can you do differently? And remember reverse mentoring, learn from the young. And I'm learning a lot of my students, my grad students, my full-time students who from Curtin University, and and today, as Roger mentioned, I was appointed the IT Management School in Paris, runs the program globally, virtually program an executive MBA on digital transformation. I'm learning some of the students, and I'm continuing to do that because this is where you learn a lot from the young. So with that note, I hand over back. I will have the dialogue. So I hand over back to Roger, so I can look forward to your questions and your dialogue. Over to you, Roger.
Yes, before we do that, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, sagers and friends, big hand, digital applause to our friend, Professor Satar Bawani. Yes, I got
Thank you.
tested the questionnaire, so I go straight to it. Professor,
Yeah.
I think they really want to converse with you. So I'm going. I will call you. Then, as I call the first one, I will already mention the next one. So you prepare, okay? So everyone, let's introduce first Kanwalijit. Yeah, Kanwaljit. You're on. Yep.
Dr. Thomas.
Could you open the video, guys? Is he there? Please say hi. Then I will call on Juliana later. Juliana, also get ready. All right, please, let's have a conversation. You're very lucky. Professor Satar charges a lot for coaching, huh? This is your free one.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you can just Dr. Kawan Soin is a respected nominated member of parliament, former, and she's also she endorsed the book anyway, and she's also a practitioner as an orthopedic surgeon, very respected. Yeah, Kawanji, do you want to ask a question? You want to read the question, or are you putting her live on video, or
But,
you ask the question?
Professor, I want him live, so I know I can read it, but I really want conversation. So
Yeah, maybe Kawanji, you would like to share? Speak up, unmute her, please.
Hi, thank you very much, Sata. I have written my question. Could you please just read it? And if you like, please answer it.
okay, go.
So you want me to
Hello?
read that? Okay.
Even
Yeah.
even if you have all the, I'll do it for you, Professor. Even if you have all the attributes for success in one's entrepreneurial journey, question: what is the role of bad luck, or is there such a thing?
Yeah, thank you, Kawanji. Yeah, no, I think it's very important. As I said, I give the example of the dot-com bust. When I started in 2000, trying to set up a new venture into the e-learning, and it was very unfortunate. There are certain extenuating circumstances. I believe, yes, that circumstances do have an impact on your plan, your entrepreneurial venture. It can happen. But I think it's very important, depending on your religious belief, your grounding. And for me, I think it's very important that we do our best to plan ahead. And I always believe that whatever plan that you put in place, there's a bigger, forces in play, and things can go wrong. So what I would advise, and I agree. First of all, I agree, Kamal, to answer your question. There is bad luck. It can happen, and good luck. Sometimes circumstances, come your way. So we should be thankful. A sense of gratitude. That we should be thankful. But even if things do not happen with bad luck, or things do not happen the way you plan, so ask two questions. Look, what can I learn from this? What can I do differently? Sometimes we've done everything. Sometimes we think we've done everything. This is where it's very important to have a network, or someone who can advise you confident. And I was very fortunate. My wife, Nora, in 7 years, she is one of my confidants, and who we bounce off. And I'm very fortunate to have support, wisdom, and also I have four mentors. Two of them, my ex-professors, and the other one, the chairman and CEO of IPME, Mr. Murthy, who is also the dean of the IT management school, who has been giving me a lot of feedback, support. So it's very important. So we may not get what we plan, or we do not realize for our plan. So we need to re-examine why, what, and be humble in our humility, and to accept that we do not know and we have to learn, and what can we learn to make it better next time. So yeah, so I think it's very important. Bad luck can happen, and I know some of the good people, even Steve Jobs. Of course, Steve Jobs, when he was kicked out from Apple, is more about his own doing. Ability to be again about being realistic, grounded to reality. So he invests all the resources on Lisa programming. I mean, he's not going to work out. But it's bad luck for him. That you have a board who decided to kick him out. So bad luck does happen. Okay, Roger, the next question. So I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
I think so. Juliana Osol, just to save on time, maybe I'll just ask this straight.
Yeah.
How can we acquire creative thinking and critical thinking at the same time? And how do you apply, learn this in simple ways? They seem like two sides of a different
Yeah.
brain. So how do you balance and how do you develop this, Professor?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. There's a lot of free resources I give away. So let me talk about creative thinking first. It's easy. Creative thinking, some of you know Edward de Bono, you know a lot of this, a lot of resources online. Creative thinking is thinking out of the box, thinking outside the box. So it's very important as an entrepreneur to have creative thinking, but I think not as important as critical thinking. What's the difference? Creative thinking, when you need to be able to, as part of problem solving, to find new solutions, trying to resolve issues that you have, and at the end of the day to find ideas, creating ideas, yeah? And it's about generating ideas. Very important. Creative thinking is very important, and you're brainstorming, generating ideas. Now, what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the ability to recognize the assumptions that one makes in decision, the ability to recognize all of us has what called cognitive biases. We're biased in the way we think, so we need to be aware of that. And ability to assess information, because the world today, especially with fake news, so many information that comes our way because of technology, we need to assess information to see which are the real information that we can rely on, and to assess the validity of this information before helping you to make a decision. So you need both. So you need the creativity is important to come up with the ideas, come up with possible hypotheses or possible solution. But when you assess and evaluate those ideas after the creativity is over, then you adopt critical thinking. When you challenge your mental model and ask yourself, are these really relevant? Will it solve my problem? What are the implications? What are the possible ramifications if I opt for option A, B, or C? So the critical thinking is far much more lacking in entrepreneurs and in a lot of business leaders. They are good creative, critical, they come up with some ideas. Yeah, I know, I've read this, I've learned. Yeah, it's good. You've read, you've watched the video, you've learned this, read my book. A lot of people are very creative, come up with new ideas. And as an entrepreneur, you need to have that. That is the fundamental. You need to be innovative. You need to be innovative, you need to be creative.
Okay.
To be successful, you need to have the critical thinking skills. Yeah.
Well said. Thank you, Professor. You balance it very well. I have another question here. This one is from Colleen Villanueva. I think this is quite insightful. She says, what are your thoughts about expertise economy and its role in maneuvering within disruption? So how does this whole idea of experts is as compared to this disruptive elements, is there a role for this kind of people or expertise, not expert, expertise in within the disruption leadership that you mentioned? Is there a difference?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yes, of course. I mean, you need to have something like an expert. As I say, when you first step is when you have a problem, you try to address a particular need for a customer. Okay, so remember I said in a digital revolution, you need to adopt customer centricity. Yeah, so you need to adopt customer centricity. You need to understand what the customer needs and so forth. So you know there's a market. Like for example, when Creative Christensen talked about what we call the disruptive innovation. So you go for the blue ocean, the untested market, and this first step, then you need to develop the creativity. So you need to rely on such as you need to go to people who have done it, read the market research, people who have done the old technologies of people who have done certain work area that you have. So yes, you need to have subject matter expert or an expertise. But as a leader, as entrepreneur, all these are factors that would provide you with some insight into what potential factors that impact on your idea, right? So there are mindful. The decision whether to accept those advice, the decision whether those advice can help you to make a formal approach or a decision to to formulate your strategy when you have multiple forces at play, multiple data information. Of course, today we're very fortunate. We have AI who can help us to. Yeah, we have big data, predictive analysis using big data, and all this technology that you have, the advanced technology that today can provide and cut all this charter, to help you. But at the end of the day, you still have to make a decision.
Okay.
So I think it's important. Yes, there's a place for subject matter expert, but you need to make the final decision and evaluate the usefulness and using critical thinking, evaluate whether that is still relevant and be able to think far ahead using connecting the dots, strategic insights.
Yep. Okay. So again, it's the yin and yang, the balance of both, right? Creative and critical, and then now expertise and disruption. Here's a question on COVID. Question from Princess Serna. How can businesses prepare for a second wave of COVID-19 in terms of disruptive digital leadership? So question basically is, given the second wave coming, how do we prepare for that disruptive digital leadership? How can we prepare? Can we?
Yeah, well, I think very little can do is, okay, let me understand. So you're talking about the second wave of COVID-19. Let me say things we all know. Look at Trump, over the last 1 week. It's very sad to have a leader, a world leader, when we have leaders, political leaders, government leaders, do not convey the right message. So when you have confusion, who do you trust? So it's about lack of trust. Yeah? So it's about can you prevent the COVID? Yes, you can. If all of us decided not to go, I mean, it's not realistic. We just go to another lockdown. All of us stay at home. There's no community spreading. No people come. No imported cases. In Singapore, we have the biggest problem because of the dormitory, the foreign workers. We are addressing them. Can we prevent a second wave, Princess? Personally, I think it's all about individual, all of us. Can we take the responsibility to be socially responsible, even wearing a mask, even we all know that all these things that is happening in the last 8 months, don't take it for granted. Even like New Zealand, look what happened, the first country in the world that about to declare the pandemic is over, and they have one in positive cases and the rest they go to lockdown. So yeah, you can prevent if everybody takes it seriously like in New Zealand. But I don't think so it's possible because Singapore we're opening up, and you heard all the ministers now, so we can have a big problem. In Africa, I'm not sure where you're from, Princess, but in every country there's a big problem. WHO advises us every single day that we need to continue to maintain. And the problem is you have people who fake news like Trump talking about a vaccine. He's saying the last night. Oh, I got no problem. Actually, I'm immune. I do not have the virus. Actually, no problem. Vaccine will be available. The problem is not the vaccine. Many people do not understand. Even the vaccine available end of the year or early next year, it takes about 6 to 12 months to reach everyone in the world. It is the process of vaccination, the process of getting it out. Then it will take another 6 to 12 months. And, meanwhile, we have to take responsibility. So can we prevent it? Yeah, but in terms of disruptive leadership, nothing is about, this is about reliance, it's about responsibility for all of us have to start what? Public health, and this is the biggest problem that all government look at. Do we take into consideration first priorities public health or business? So there needs to be fine balance, because if you go on the economy, the pandemic already disrupt and destroyed businesses large, and it will continue to do that. So most governments have to open up. So
Yep.
my advice to all of us as an individual princess, take responsibility. Let me, I don't travel. I only go out
Yeah.
very rare. Only this, even for the elderly, I try to receive because they are more vulnerable. So try to restrain from interacting socially.
Maybe
Okay.
last question before I wrap up, but very interesting question. This is probably coming from someone who wants to really become an entrepreneur during COVID and the new normal. Her question is, okay, how can we start a business under this new normal, or what is called the new, post pandemic? What are your advice? Is this the right time to start a business during
Uh,
COVID, after COVID? When?
no, there's
Advice.
never, as an entrepreneur, we, as business leader entrepreneur, we always have constantly depend what business you're talking about. If you're talking about trying to develop a disruptive innovation, and this is right now to look at what a market that you can go into, and you look at what's happening in a lot of business in the food, in the F&B, in retail and so forth. So yeah, and I think the new normal is going to be three things. One, we are going to constantly be, we have to be prepared for disruptive forces like the pandemic. It could be another pandemic, it could be another epidemic, we do not know. So you must always, you need to be prepared to develop your VCP, business continuity planning. Number one. Number two, you need to always be prepared, contingency plan and have the right people, especially all the PPT, the people, process, technology. So I always have the right people with you and to support what your business. So anytime is good time. So I don't think, but it depends on what you want to do. But if you're trying to set up a business that will require huge investment, but so right now a lot of companies are, even venture capitalists are very mindful. They're looking at funding very, very, very careful. So look at your business ideas and their process is the same. So the entrepreneur to ideation, looking at the whole entrepreneur is the same, nothing changed. The question is the right timing. I think as an entrepreneur, as a business, you always need to ask what can we do. So your mindset, your disruptive leadership mindset to continuously is where creativity comes in.
Okay.
Okay? Strategic thinking. You need to continue to do that, to ask yourself this question and go ahead, go for it. And and final note for those of you who you have question, I'm sure you can still send a question through Sage. I'll be delighted to respond and have a separate dialogue. With
Awesome.
that, over to you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I would like to summarize my own takeaway, guys. So I normally do this. So if you are ready, I like you to type what if you agree with what I say. These are the 7 things I learned from. I call it the Bawani hacks. Number 1, be self-aware. Can you type self-aware? That's very important. So you mentioned lessons learned from failure. Be self-aware. Number 2, be grounded. Be grounded. Be grounded. Be grounded in reality. Develop inside-out thinking. So you look inside, you think outside. That's number 3. Number 4, I like. Get a mentor or a coach. Yes, right now, not when you become executive. It's too late. Okay? Number 5, collaborate. Build network. Collaborate and build network. Sage is another way you can network. You never know. You might find your business partner or startup founder here. Number 5, number 6, put people before process. Remember this? Remember, people before process. And number 7, I learned it from Professor Sawar, put talent before technology. Put people before process, talent before technology. And I want to leave you with these three reminder how to live a successful life. Be exemplary, type this 1, 2, 3. Be exemplary. 2, thrive in chaos. So remember, one more time, the three the rules of good living, if you will. 1, be exemplary, thrive in chaos, and reinvent yourself. That's the one. You remember this, I think you have some great takeaway. I will remember you, Professor. Let's live exemplary lives, thrive in chaos, and reinvent yourself, because if you don't disrupt yourself, how you can disrupt the world? Thank you for the disruption and the lessons, Professor Bhavani. A big hand again one more time, please. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. I enjoyed the question. Thank you so much. Let's network and continue to be connected on LinkedIn, Facebook. I have set up I will send to for all of you. I set up especially for you guys a discussion group, Facebook group on disruptive leadership and what are questions that you may have. Post it there, we have a dialogue. I'll send to Sage and they will communicate to you. Once again, thanks for the invitation. I enjoyed it very much. And all the best on your entrepreneurial journey and the completion of your course. God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Don't leave, Professor, because we would like to have a picture with you. Back to
Yeah, Professor, before we let you go, I'd like to request everyone. So for those of you who could turn your videos on, so we'd like to have a class photo with Professor Gawani before we let him go. So for all of our participants from CORE, from MCM, and also for our friends from YMCA, from Nation Building School in Malaysia as well, and Unimap. So for all of you who could join us, please turn your videos on right now. So I'm going to be taking quick screenshots. So before we let Professor Bhavani go, so I love seeing your smiles, and there's a heart there. So here you go. So keep those smiles there. Hold up.
One, can you see?
All right. So I will be sending it to you, Professor.
Okay.
Hold up.
Awesome. Thank you. 100 students of SIG today. Go ahead, back to you, JR.
Yeah, I just need to take a couple more. So hold up, because we have 4 pins right now. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. I got it. So thank you very much, Professor Bhavani. That has been Professor Bhavani, the Chief Executive Officer of Disruptive Leadership Institute and the author of Leadership in Disruptive Times. So for our agility track for today. And on Wednesday, we will be joined by the co-founder of Rising Tide Africa. It's all about women empowerment on Wednesday with Miss Yemi Carey, all the way from Nigeria. And on Friday, we will be joined by the person who is one of the authors of the first courses for e-commerce when it's not still a buzzword. So we will have Dr. Nikhil Agarwal, the CEO of IIT Kanpur first. So that's going to be on Friday for our entrepreneurship track. On Wednesday, we will be discussing for our grit track, increasing women participation in technology-based entrepreneurship. So that's for Wednesday for our grit track. And for our entrepreneurship track, we will be talking about entrepreneurship and innovation policy with building a national innovation agenda to promote entrepreneurship with Dr. Nikhil Agarwal. So that's going to be on Friday. And that's part of our 9 classes for this month. So complete these sessions, all the 9 sessions that we have, all the way until October 30. We have an awesome lineup, and we will be having some great graduation ceremony, because we have a lot of participants for season 5. So we have different personalities, ambassadors, and we also have a vice dean and some CEOs and chief marketing officers for different startups, and we have a beauty queen. Beauty with a Purpose of Miss World 2013. Miss Megan Young will also be joining us later this month. So please let us know your thoughts. Let us know your comments. The feedback forms are on the chat box right now. So please stay tuned. Give us your feedback, and also follow us on our Facebook and on LinkedIn profile, so that you could also be updated on all the news and what's happening on this month's sessions, and also on our next sessions for November and December. So in behalf of the team here in the Manila unit, in behalf of Versi and Genesis, and in behalf of our Singapore unit, Tammy and Roger, and in behalf of our Malaysia unit with Mr. Nafis and Rina. So thank you very much, everyone. Stay dry, stay safe, and be kind to one another. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sagers. See you. We're going to be with you for 1 whole month. And you're going to be talking to all these 9 experts globally. We're bringing the world to you instead of going to the world. Thank you, Sagers.
Yeah. Sagers, just a gentle reminder, kindly use your full name, please. So we could track you, your attendance, because if you complete the total of 9 classes, you will receive a SAGE certificate from us. So kindly use your full name. I've been chatting some of you guys because I need to get your full name. Thank you so much, and I hope you did, which I believe, enjoy our class today. See you on Wednesday, and start listening and practicing some African songs, okay? See ya.
Yeah. Thank you, Genesis. So that has been it. So thank you very much, Professor Boani. Thank you very much for gracing our class for today. So thank you.
My best wishes, Professor, and thanks. We'll see you again. We need to work.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thanks, praise, Dana. Dana, praise. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the greetings.
Thank you, everyone.
Of course, Kelly. Thank you, Princess, for the question today. Yes, that's good. Keep coming. Yeah, it's okay. The Wi-Fi wasn't good, but we heard your story. Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Davao. Yeah. I like this core group. They're really well represented. Okay. Of course, our friends from Malaysia. And
We also have friends all the way from Denmark. Thank you so much for joining us today.
introduce us to her or him. Is he there? Yeah.
I think he already exited.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, but I saw him and he also registered. We also have friends from Indonesia. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Do we have
And also,
from Davao or Mapua or?
Yes, we have some faculty from MCM and USEP in Mindanao. So they are teachers from the academy. Thank you so much, sirs, moms, for choosing to learn with us today. They have classes, but they actually adjusted their schedule to our schedule.
I'm so impressed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You also, we're also looking out for you. So we want you to share to you so you can share with your own students from all over the world, from our speakers around the world. Thank you so much. Yes.
we also have a participant from Dubai. So we have Zaira Marie Verunke. So she's coming in from Dubai.
Hi, Saira. Thank you.
And we also have corporate guests from Golden ABC. So Miss Rose and Riza are also here.
Hi, Rose. Hi, Risa. Yep, we're just warming up. You know, there will be more. It's gonna build up as we go along in our course this season. Surely the best of the best for now. Yes.
Yeah,
Again,
daghang salamat sa tanan. Kita-kita karong Miyerkules, guys. Bye-bye.
that's German for you, as they say. In Tagalog, kita-kis tayo sa mata. Okay, so see you eye to eye, all right? As they say, all right. So thank you. JR, any language you want to share today? Could you say something in Malaysia to say goodbye?
I don't know. I'm still studying, but on Wednesday we'll try Nigerian. So it's gonna be French and Zulu. That's what I'm practicing for Wednesday. So
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
thank you guys. I'm also logging out. Stay safe.
Bye-bye. Guys, don't forget, see you on Wednesday. Please remind your classmates, okay?
Okay, see you, team. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, stagers. Have a great day.